Shalom, shalom, kwam yashala. Just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah HaKodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and that do teach well and that have taught me this truth. To you I say shalom, and shalom to the hopeful elect, kwam yashala and abad babal. Beautiful. So, title of this lesson is going to be called Why Call Them Elders? This is just going off of Elder Apostle Gabar's previous video that he did, I believe probably around like a week and a half ago to 2 weeks ago, and he was expressing his concern on the word elder being used so loosely by brothers in Great Millstone, and he pretty much went on to say that in order for you to qualify as being an elder, you should have done at least a solid 25 years in this truth, struggling and soldiering for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and suffering and gaining experience. So that qualifies you to be an elder, right? So 25 years in this truth, and I'm just that just made me think of, let's go into the word elder, what it really means. Let's look up some scriptures, let's look up some precepts. And when looking up those scriptures and precepts, it came to my attention that pretty much elder, or the word elders, was not a foreign term in ancient Israel and beyond. And that term elder still applies today, and it's a very serious title, right? It's a very serious title, right? So elder was not a foreign term in ancient Israel. It was used a lot, especially going into the days of Moses, and even before the Exodus from Egypt. Israel had always recognized their elders, and I'm going to bring out the precepts just to show that. Quick precepts. They don't really need a breakdown, but I'm just going to get some precepts. I'm going to get Exodus 3:16, Exodus chapter 3 verse 18, Exodus chapter 4 and 29, Exodus chapter 12 and 21. I have them pulled up here. So let me pull them up, man. So this is Exodus chapter 3 verse 16, first one. Go and gather the elders of Yasha'Allah together and say unto them, Yahweh, the power of your fathers, the power of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you, and seen that which is done to you in Egypt. I'm going to jump down to verse 18, get to the point. And they shall hearken to thy voice, and thou shalt come, thou and the elders of Yasha'Allah, unto the king of Egypt, and ye shall say unto him, Yahweh, thy power of the Hebrews hath met with us, and now let us go, we beseech thee, 3 days journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, our power. And the elders obviously are the authority of Israel, right? So the elders, or elder, is a very serious title because it denotes that it denotes a position of authority, leadership, right? And leadership is very important. And not everybody is leadership material. Not everybody is elder quality. Not everybody is deacon quality. Not everybody is bishop quality. And I believe that's why he made that statement, going into how that term elder is being used loosely among certain brothers. And that's beautiful, that he said that, because it shouldn't be used loosely, especially if you don't have experience, especially if you don't know what you're doing. You shouldn't just be calling any brother elder. Just because he may have done 10 years, you have done 10 years in the truth, or you have served 10 years, 15 years. Some individuals, man, they're just not elder, bishop, deacon material. So anyways, let me get another precept. This is Exodus chapter 4 verse 29. I'm going to start at 29. And Moses and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spake all the words which Yahweh has spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed, and when they heard that the Lord Yahweh had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked upon their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshipped. Right? So he called on the elders, the leadership, right? And also the elderly too, right? So but first and foremost, the elders are the authority, right? The authority, the leaders. All right, so now let me get another one. This is Exodus chapter 12, verse 21. Then Moses called for all the elders of Yasha'Allah and said unto them, draw out and take ye a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover. Talking to the heads of Israel. Because you got elders that are in charge of other Israelites, right? So you do have actual elders. This is talking about the authority. Now I'm going to go into Genesis chapter 50, verse 7. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt. Okay, so there you go. That's the leadership. Shows you even Egypt had elders going into leadership, people that were in authoritative positions. Right, so if you're called a deacon, if you're called a bishop, you're pretty much an elder. If you're called an apostle, you're an elder. All right, so just keep that in mind. Now I'm going to go into the word for elder, which is zakwan, and it comes from the word beard, right? And the word beard is zakwan as well. So elders, as one might expect, were not young men, but those old enough in general, pretty much, and they were to have a full beard. Now you have to understand, this should not be confused with elderly, and having a full beard is not the same as having a gray beard. So you have to keep that in mind. So I'm going to get the definitions here. This is zakwan, right? In the Hebrew. Now it says here, zakwan, a primitive root, to be old, become old, to be old, become old, to grow old, show age. So primitive root, to be old, age man, be wax, old man, old or man, right? And then I went into the other, the root, right? Right, the root. It's it also goes into zakwan once again, and it means beard, chin, beard, chin. So it says here zakwan from H2204, the beard as indicating age, right? So also I notice not everybody that has a gray beard is an elder as well. A person that's an elder, you would have to have a full beard as well. You would have to be of age. You understand? So not all the elders in Israel were old, were very elderly, like they were walking with a cane. You know, a lot of them, they were just of age and they had a full beard. And your beard indicates that you're of age and that you're not a young man. So I'm going to use Yahushai for an example, right? Yahushai, at the pinnacle of him teaching, you know, that when he was at the very end, how old was he? He was around, that's what scholars say. They say he was around 30 to 35 years old. So I'm going to use that as an indicator of a man coming into elder age, or him being considered to be an elder, right? That's indicating his age. I'm going to use Yahushai as an example. That's the best example, right? And we know that Yahushai, he wasn't old, right? He did have white hairs on his head and on his face, right? But he wasn't old in the flesh. He wasn't really old, right? But he was really an elder. And I'm just using that as an example. So I gave you the two definitions on what they mean, right? So, you know, keep in mind, having a full beard is not the same as having a gray beard. I gotta just stress that. However, you have to realize Scripture gives no specific prescribed age for this office, you know, for the office of elder. Keep that in mind, because when you go into the precepts, it doesn't tell you if they're really old, right? They could have just been men that were of age. Doesn't mean they were old and elderly and they had a gray beard. And you see that in Great Millstone. We try to replicate that. You see that. You see certain elders, they don't have a full gray beard, but they're of age to be an elder because they're elder material, not just in the flesh, but also in the spirit. Right? So just keep that in mind. So anyways, so I'm going to say it again. The elders of Israel were not simply all the older men of Israel, but they were officially recognized as authority figures, whether they were appointed, I believe, formally or chosen by the people, right? So let's go into the account of Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 13. Let's look at that real quick here. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 13. Take ye wise men and understanding and known among your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you. And ye answered me and said, the thing which thou hast spoken is good for us to do. So I took the chief of your tribes, O wise men, and known, and made them heads over you. So the best of the best. And not necessarily all the time the best of the best are going to be old. They're going to be right men that are of age. And they're going to have a full beard, and they're going to look the part, and they're going to act the part. Most of the time. Okay? Most of the time. So it says here, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over 50s, and captains over 10s, and officers among your tribes. So the elders are going into those categories. Captains, officers, bishops, deacons, right? Those all fall under the category of elder as well. Now, there's different levels to being an elder as well, right? I'm going to just say that, right? But to have one of those positions, it means you're in a position of authority and you're over individuals, right? So you have to understand that, right? Just understand that. Let me finish off verse 16. And I charged your judges at that time, saying, hear the causes between your brethren, and judge righteously between every man and his brother and the stranger that is with him. That's right. So yeah, they're set up to judge, and there's order, and you are going to have certain men over other men, and you're going to have men under men. So I hope that makes sense, going into elder and the order, its function, where it comes from, how you define it. And that's what we're replicating here at Great Millstone. You have men over men, and you have men that are under men, and you have men that are given titles. And we're all trying to replicate that. Now, going into what Elder Apostle Gabar said about, you should be 25 years. Now that's due to preference, right? That's just preference. That's not written in the law, but that's just the custom and culture of Great Millstone. And you have to remember that custom and that culture / tradition, policy, practices, they're subject to change, right? They're subject to change because really it's a righteous decree, and a righteous decree can change over time. But what I'm trying to tell you and stress is that it's lawful from where they're coming from. There are a lot of customs or man-made customs that don't break the laws of the Heavenly Father, and that's what you have to look out for. So when they make decrees, when they make when they put out decrees, when they change certain things that they do in the spirit, it's all to really reflect Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and His law, and really to worship Him, right? But I'm going to tell you that the customs of men, the decrees of men, it will never override or overtake Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's law. The law is the law at the end of the day, and it's in its own category. It stands on its own, and you can't change it. But bringing forth a decree, especially a righteous one, a man-made one, is a good thing to do. It's not bad. So I gotta stress that. So and the reason why I'm saying this is because about 11 going on 12 years ago, when I first came into this truth, the term elder was applied differently to certain men. I remember they made a statement back in their sit downs. This is back when we used to use the 480p cameras. Before you had live streams, you had to cut up the video. You had to get a video editing program to cut up the video. But I remember on their sit downs, they said, if you were 8 years in this truth, you're still a baby. If you're going into 10 years to 15 years, you're an adult in this thing. You're able to chew meat. You're an adult. So if you're an adult, it just simply means you're of age. So I just explained to you what an elder is. It's a person that is of age. And your beard indicates that you are of age, right? That indicates you're of age, and it indicates that you're likely to become a candidate to be an elder, right? So that's what they were breaking down. But now, coming into the year of 2023, because of the times that we're living in and how it's getting out of hand and people are abusing that word, it had to change. So that was for righteousness' sake, so leaven doesn't get in the organization, so it doesn't destroy brothers, so it doesn't destroy camps, right? So you're allowed to change your decrees if it's righteous, right? So I just got to put that out there. I hope that makes sense. Now, yeah, I have a precept here. So this is Hebrews chapter 13, verse 17. Obey them that have the rule over you, and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls, as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for this is unprofitable for you. Yeah, so obey them that have rule over you, and you have certain men that are set up to rule over you. And guess what, brothers? You might be an old man that's now just coming into this truth, and you may be an elder in the flesh. Literally, you may be an elder with the flesh. You have the whole package. You got the gray beard, you got the gray hairs coming out. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be an elder. But you may be put under a brother that's younger than you, that has the title of elder. And you shouldn't look at him in a bad way, right? You may be an old man coming into this, and you may know things. You may be experienced. You may have owned businesses. You may have done a lot of things. But you shouldn't look down at that younger brother that's put over you, especially if he's sincere, and if he's doing the work, and if he knows what he's talking about, right? And vice versa, right? And vice versa. That goes for older men that are in the truth, and they are actual elders. They're in an authoritative position. You younger brothers, you shouldn't act a bad way. So you should obey them that have rule over you. And that's who it applies to. That's when I read the scripture. When I read the scripture, that's who it applies to. Okay, that's what this scripture applies to. Slakia. And so, let me read this again. Obey them that have the rule over you, and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls. And that's right, they do watch for your souls. And the elders and apostles, starting with them, they are. And they're teaching you the word. They're feeding you. They're doing breakdowns. They're doing lessons. They're telling you who to watch out for. They're guarding the flock. That's the job of an elder. They're supposed to be apt to teach. Right? They're supposed to teach properly. And I'm going to say this. You do have elders within Israel. In general, they have that office of a bishop, a deacon, an elder. But they're not teaching properly. And they're definitely not watching for the souls. So yes, there's a left side, there's a right hand side to being an elder, and there's also a left hand side to being an elder. And you do have elders that are on the left hand side, not doing the right thing. But the Lord has actually put them there for a reason, right? For a reason. So also keep that in mind. And you can't think to yourself in this truth that, oh, why did this decree change? Why is it going this way? Because sometimes to you, because you're in the flesh, you may think that another person that is less skilled, less knowledgeable, less experienced is getting more merit than you are by getting that title, right? But you can't look at it that way and think that you're lesser. It's just that brother's put in that position to grow and to get the leaven out of him. Maybe that brother is put in that position so he can be humbled. And maybe you're put in that position of being lowly, even though you've done all these things for a certain amount of years. And that order might have changed. You're probably put in that position so you can stay humble, so the Lord can get the leaven out of you. But you shouldn't be in the spirit of comparing yourself to another brother that way, right? And you have a lot of men, they're proud. I'm going to start with my camp, the camp that I'm in. I'm not going to name names, but I'm talking about newer individuals who have come in. You can sense the pride. You can feel the pride on them. Multiple individuals, man. You could feel the pride. And they have a problem with being under certain individuals, man. Okay? And it's more than one. Okay? It's more than one individual they have a problem with, for whatever reason. You know, and you know what? I'm not going to go in their heads. But you can feel it in the spirit by the way they move, by the way they talk to you, by the way they address you. And it's not to get emotional, but you can feel it, right? So I'm making this video to stress, don't make your emotions get you kicked out of this thing, to make you lose your crown because you feel a certain way when it comes to how things are set up in the spirit. That's just the spirit. And you have to remember your situation is temporal. This is temporary. And in due time, the Lord will exalt you. And really, man, in this kingdom, you shouldn't be looking to be an elder. I'm gonna be honest. Do you really want to grow old in this stupid, nasty, frickin' kingdom, for lack of better words? Do you really want to grow old here? Do you really want that in this dirty ass kingdom? Grow old here, man. Be an elder called in Babylon the Great, this shitty, filthy fucking kingdom where you can't even keep the laws, where you can't even rehearse the righteous acts properly. Do you really want to be called an elder here? Let's be real about that, man. Anyways, that's just me talking, right? But you will be exalted in due time. Now, let me get another scripture. This is 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. And subtitle says, overseers and deacons. This is a true saying, if a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work. And a bishop is really going into a high priest. This is an archbishop. Pretty much, that's what it goes into, a high priest, an archbishop, high priest. Actually, let me get that. I know that's a high priest, bishop. So it says here, bishop, high priest, Jewish or pagan, watcher, yeah, the high priest, man, watcher, spiritual overseer, title for various government officials. That's right. So that's you're a government official. So you're an official, man. You're a part of the ruling class, so-called ruling class, right? You're an authoritative figure. So it says here, later taken over in a church sense, one that watches, one that looks after, a guardian, a protector. That's right. So you have to guard and you have to protect, brothers, man. And you have to guard and protect this truth. You have to contend for the faith. You have to fight for this truth, right? And you're a protector. You're a guardian. And you're going to guard brothers. You're going to guard the church. You're going to guard this word. And you're going to do it with your life. And that's why certain brothers in the spirit, they're given those top tier positions. Because in the spirit, they're gonna throw their life on the line for another brother and for this truth. And you may be thinking, well, why shouldn't I get that? Well, because you're not worthy enough. Maybe you are, but maybe the Lord doesn't want you in that position right now as well. Because there's two sides to everything, right? So it says, given a specific sense in the church, but the word also was used in the New Testament as a descriptive title for elders. So that's another title for elder as well, bishop. So if you're called a bishop, you're an elder as well. And you're a high priest. That's a high-ranking position. You're really an elder. It's a very serious title, bishop. Continues as such in some non-hierarchical Christian sects. All right, so that's all I want from there. So let's move on. So it says, a bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach. So you have to have all these qualities. And not everybody has all these qualities. You got people who are named bishop and deacon, and they're not doing any of these things, man. You got men who are head of camps and they have committed adultery. You got men who are head of camps, who are elders, who are bishops, and they're teaching that you can take the MOTB. You have them teaching that there's going to be no gates in the kingdom of heaven. There's not going to be any walls. I'm fucking stupid, man. All right? That's crazy, man. But it is what it is. Sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach. Yeah, are you hospitable? Do you show hospitality to brothers? Right? And not every bishop or elder is going to be put in that position to do certain things. And that doesn't mean that they're not a bishop. But you have to have these qualities. Right? You have to have these qualities, man. Verse 3, not given to wine, no striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, not a greedy man. You got men in this truth, or in the Israelite thing of ours, that are multimillionaires, man. Rubbing shoulders with Esau Edom by having a 501c3 charter, being tax exempt, making hundreds of millions of dollars. They're on pace to being a billionaire. Now I know who comes to mind, man, but it's all good. So you're not supposed to be greedy. You're not supposed to be stealing tithes, stealing money and using it for yourself. And that's why maybe you're not put in that position, because maybe you're greedy. Maybe you drink too much. Maybe you can't control your rod. Remember, it says the husband of one wife. And that's one thing too. If you're really fully involved in this truth, you're not going to be involved with a lot of women. And honestly, man, I'm going to just say this, man. Some men, they just can't handle women. If they get too much women, they'll go crazy. They'll go insane when it comes to their rod. And a lot of these women out here now, they'll lead you to your ruin. I just got finished talking to Elder Yahushua of my camp, right, that I'm in. And I was talking to him about the word bishop, and he was explaining it to me, about how, some men, they can't control having more than one woman. And you shouldn't have more than, you shouldn't be involved with too much women if you're in this truth, really, when you think about it. If you're really serving the Lord on a high level, you won't be that way. But he was explaining, man, a lot of men, they go insane, they go crazy, and these women, they'll lead you to your ruin, man. It's insane. But yeah. Anyways, going back to verse 3 here. But patient, that's right, patience goes into suffering. Right? But patient, long suffering, you're suffering. And that's what Elder Apostle Gabar said. If you haven't been in this truth for 25 years, suffering, catching hell, gaining experience, or getting and gaining experience, fighting the good fight. If you haven't been doing that for 25 years, then you're not an elder, right? Because to be an elder, you got to be very, very patient. Very, very patient. You got to be patient with your enemies. You got to be patient with your brethren. You got to be patient in all things, man. Be very patient. And I look at elders, man, they're very patient on how they deal with situations. Right? One elder that comes to mind is Elder Ayathan. He looks very patient, man. I notice he's very patient. All the elders are. They're very patient on how they do things. I'm just looking at how he moves and his personality. He seems like a very patient individual. Right? Very patient. Anyways, that's just me, because I watch him. Now it says, not a brawler, not covetous. So you're always fighting all the time. Not covetous. Yeah, damn thief. Damn thief, man. Alright, so I stressed that enough. So now I'm going to go into the account of Jacob and Laban, because when you join any organization, when you join any camp, when you join even any society or even any country, you have to understand they have customs, they have traditions, they have policies, and they have certain practices that they follow, right? And you have to understand the culture of whatever organization that you're getting involved in. You have to understand the culture and customs of the camp that you're in. And don't think that you're going to come into the camp and change. So whenever you come into a camp and you're doing things with brothers, you have to understand the culture of that camp. Especially when it comes to them laying down decrees, laying down laws, and it's not going to fit the laws that are in the scriptures. It may replicate the laws that are written in the scriptures. And like I said earlier, I already covered this, certain man-made customs and traditions and decrees that, they may not be written in Yahweh's law, but they are still lawful for you to follow, right? So you have to understand what you're getting involved in when you come into an organization, when you come into Great Millstone, when you come into a different camp within Great Millstone. You got to know the culture, right? And here at Great Millstone and the camps that are within Great Millstone, we're about order and we're about doing things the right way. And what you see here, or what you saw in Elder Apostle Gabar's video, I'll see if I could post a link in the description during post-production, that showed you that that's the culture of Great Millstone. That's a part of the culture and customs of Great Millstone. You have to follow that. And if you don't want to follow that, you leave. Get the fuck out. So anyways, let me move on. Talking too much, man. So it says here, Genesis chapter 29, verse 21, Laban's treachery. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. Maybe I can go up. See here, 7 years. Actually, you know what? I'll just start here, man. I don't want to get too technical. So it says Laban's treachery, Genesis chapter 29, verse 21. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him. And he went in unto her, and Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for an handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? And that's true. He did trick him, because he wanted Rachel to begin with. And he worked 7 hard years for Rachel. But guess what? When you go on, that's the custom. That's the tradition. That's the culture. The firstborn is supposed to get married before the younger, right? So that's the custom. So he didn't know that. Jacob didn't know that. And it shows that he didn't know that because Laban told him. Now you would say here, well, Laban, he tricked him. That's unfair. That's unfair. Well, yeah, that is true. That is unfair. It is. And life isn't always fair. Suck it up, bitch. All right? Suck it up, because it's not about that. The lesson here in this situation, you got to understand what you're getting involved in when you do business with people. You got to understand the culture. Right? They call that business ethics. When you go to the Middle East to do business, it's a whole different world over there. It's a whole different culture. You have to know, you're in their house. You got to know what's going on. You got to know what they like. You can't just come into someone's house and work for them and then thinking that you're going to call the shots. You got to know how they act. You got to know their traditions. You got to know their custom. You got to know their culture. And Jacob, he didn't know that. And yes, this was not nice. This wasn't right. How this transpired, it wasn't right. But you got to know what you're getting involved in. When you come into Great Millstone, things are going to be subject to change when it comes to decrees. Righteous decrees. Not unrighteous decrees, righteous decrees. It may change due to the time that they're living in. And it can change like this. But you have to ask yourself, is this custom wicked? And the answer is no, the custom isn't wicked. It's still a righteous thing to do. Nothing wrong with that. That's not breaking any laws. Marrying your firstborn daughter first, then opposed to your younger. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not wicked. Right? It's your possession to begin with. You're allowed to hold her back from getting married. So that's not wrong, technically. Now, was what happened, the agreement that between Jacob and Laban, was that bad? Yeah, that was bad. That was tacky, man. But the custom, no. Now, it says here, verse 27, fulfill her week, and we will give thee this. Oh, actually, did I read that? No. Verse 26, and Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. So he's showing you there's a culture, there's customs, there's traditions. That's a tradition, man. Right? So when you come into somebody's house, you know, there's a culture. And don't think you're going to change it. Verse 27, fulfill her week, and we will give thee also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. So now he has to work another 7 years. So you see that, right? So you see the apostle, they doubled it. Right? They doubled it. They changed it. So okay, so it was from 10 years to 15 years. Now it's 25 years. Right? So now you gotta work. And that's what you gotta do. You gotta work in this ministry, man. You gotta work. Put you to work. If you want to get rewarded, you gotta work like Jacob. Because that's who you are. You're Jacob. You gotta work. You're not getting anything here for free. Especially in the Lord's house. You're not getting nothing for free. Love ain't cheap. Okay? There's a saying. Living ain't cheap, but dying is free. That's right. Dying is free, but living ain't cheap. If you want to live, you got to work. So you got to work. Verse 28, and Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel, his daughter, to wife also. So he had to do it. He just sucked it up and he did it. So suck it up, because that's life. Life is unfair. Okay, life is unfair, but too bad. Work. You're an adult. Get over it. Suck it up. So anyways, man, that's all I got. Till next time, just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone GMS. To you I say Shalom, and Shalom to the hopeful like Kwame Sha'Allah and Abba Ball. Shalom.